In this video, I'm going to give you the 3 questions that you can ask an atheist to make them stumble, to make them shut up, to make them realize that they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, seeing as how atheism is predicated on the idea that belief in a god or gods is unwarranted due to insufficient evidence to support that claim, unless these 3 questions you're going to ask actually lead to some evidence that a particular god exists, then I'm not exactly sure how you intend to demonstrate that atheism is incorrect. Another thing that I have to point out is that it's not really about atheism being incorrect or correct, because in order for atheism to be incorrect, you would first have to demonstrate that your God exists. So the real question is atheism justified? And given the evidence we have at hand, yes, it is.
Because the one thing that atheists always love to bring up is science.
Yeah, because science deals with evidence, not feelings. Science doesn't care what you feel about things, and religion is all about feelings. There are no novel testable predictions that we can make utilizing a God concept. In fact, when we try to use a God concept, we usually wind up with logical contradictions. So it has no value as an explanatory hypothesis for any claim.
The one thing that atheists always love to bring up is science when people talk about God.
Seeing as how you just repeated yourself, same response.
Nowadays, more and more people are starting to be religious.
That would be incorrect. Recent Pew research indicates that religious belief is the lowest it's ever been in the United States, and it is dropping at a precipitous rate as access to information improves every day.
More and more people are starting to be more spiritual. More and more people are starting to realize that, maybe there is a creator.
Incorrect again. Larger and larger percentages of our population in the United States are leaving religion in favor of atheism or deism every single year. There have been numerous independent studies done over the past 2 generations that can confirm this.
As books like the Quran, as books like the Bible, as books like the Old Testament, get proven by science.
All of these are just claims. You haven't actually provided any evidence to support them. And you've thus far asked no questions. Where are the questions?
People start to believe more and more. As people get older and as people start to go through their own experiences, their own faith, their own journey, they start to believe.
Another claim and still no evidence provided.
But then there's always those people that are atheists. There's always those people that don't want to believe. There's always those people that are going to stop you from believing.
Belief is not a choice. Belief is what you are convinced of. And atheists don't really care what people believe, but we absolutely do care when people think that what they believe gives them the right to dictate how other people live.
Always those people that are going to tell you, oh, there is no God. What you believe is wrong.
To varying degrees it is, and we have the evidence and logical argumentation to back it up. Hey, are you going to get to these questions anytime soon?
And so if you ever run across somebody who thinks like that, you ask them these 3 questions.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
Question number 1, what happens after you die?
So this would be a question best answered by the evidence, and the evidence indicates that nothing happens after you die.
Science cannot tell you what happens after you die.
Yes, it can. Respiration ceases, your blood pressure bottoms out, your brain ceases to function, and you're dead. And then you decompose, and your constituent elements get cycled back into nature. That's it.
It's as simple as that. Science cannot tell you what happens after you die. There's a bunch of guesses out there.
No, there is your assumption that something exists after a person dies for something to occur to. An understanding of the current advancements in neurophysiology and neuroscience eliminates the possibility of a soul. So the best answer is that which comports with the evidence, not your feelings.
There's a bunch of people that think they know, but science cannot prove what happens after you die. Science cannot tell you there's an afterlife.
Because there is no evidence for an afterlife. Because no evidence exists, then why would science claim that an afterlife exists? The claim of an afterlife is your claim. Thus, the burden of proof is on you. Please provide your evidence.
But religion can.
No, religion offers an unfalsifiable hypothesis with 0 evidence to back it up. This is not a justification to believe that it is something that exists.
Islam can. Christianity can. Okay? So it's one of those things where an atheist is going to tell you, oh, there's no such thing as God. God doesn't exist and stuff like that. And be like, okay, no problem.
Well, if it's no problem, then why ask the question?
What do you think happens after we die?
I already answered that. Apart from the decomposition of your corpse, nothing at all. Remember, the claim that something else exists is your claim. Thus, the burden of proof is on you. Feel free to present your evidence at any time and claim your Nobel Prize.
Do you think it's just nothing? Do you think it's just, oh, you were here, now you're not? Do you think it was just, oh, once you existed, now you don't?
Yes, there is nothing to indicate otherwise, and it doesn't matter that you don't like that. Science doesn't care about what you believe, it only cares about what is true.
And if that is the case, why would you not believe or have faith in a higher power or an afterlife?
Because the evidence indicates that it's not true, and I am interested in true things. That, and I have no need for an afterlife or anything else that religion offers.
Because if you lived a horrible life here on earth, and then, like I said, there's nothing more to it, then why would you not want to believe? Why would you not hope that there's more? Why would you not want there to be more?
This is nothing more than an appeal to consequences. Unfortunately, the truth is, some people do live very tragic and sometimes very brief lives, and it's very sad. But that doesn't mean that feelings are more valid than truth or the facts. All it really means is that it's up to all of us as a species to try our best to improve the situation for everyone else. Unfortunately, appealing to gods and afterlives and things like that often really only works to alleviate us of our responsibilities to our fellow humans. So that's one question down. What do you got next?
The second question you can ask any atheist is, what happened before the Big Bang?
We don't precisely know, but we do have a good working hypothesis. But I think we all know where you're going to go with this question.
What happened before the Big Bang?
Asked and answered. And appealing to what we don't know to justify your God belief is just the God of the gaps.
So scientists still do not understand the Big Bang.
Incorrect. We have a very good understanding of Big Bang cosmology, and it's confirmed by the novel testable predictions that we've made in applying that theory to our further understanding of the universe.
Pretty much it's like the universe cannot be created, or the energy in the universe cannot be created or destroyed. Everything is, is fixed.
You are correct on the first law of thermodynamics. This is well understood, and Big Bang cosmology takes it into account.
But the Big Bang, people love to ask, if Big Bang was the beginning, what happened before?
Well, the Big Bang is actually the origin point of observability for our universe, not a creation point. So if you want to address cosmology, it really helps to know what you're talking about.
So pretty much it's like, if the Big Bang is the start of it all, what happened before?
But you see, that's just it. It wasn't the start of it at all. It was the start of observability for our universe. You may want to get some further education on this subject.
If the Big Bang is the effect, what was the cause?
In a very tight nutshell, naturally occurring random quantum field fluctuations. No God necessary.
Science cannot tell you what happened before the Big Bang.
Like I said, we have strong working hypotheses, and of course those will improve as we get more information and evidence. But asserting that a God did it just because we don't have an absolute understanding of something is just fallacious.
Atheists cannot tell you what happened before the Big Bang.
And we don't propose to. We just side with the evidence. Once again, you are making a claim, and the burden of that claim is on you.
So it's one of those things where all you have to do is ask him these questions, and you'll realize that not only can nobody prove anything.
That statement would actually include you as well, that you can't prove that it's your God behind all these things. But thank you for quietly admitting that everything you've presented so far is nothing more than an emotional appeal.
But at the end of the day, they're going to try to make it seem like you having faith and you believing is a bad thing.
Because it is. It is irrational, and irrational beliefs tend to lead to irrational behaviors that affect us all.
And it's like statistically, probability-wise, why would you not believe? Why would you not believe? Okay.
That is kind of a weird combination of appeals to Pascal's wager and the strong anthropic principle. First, Pascal's wager fails because it's predicated on the unjustified assumption that only one God could possibly exist. Blaise Pascal was a devout Christian, so it follows that he would make that mistake. And second, the strong anthropic principle is pretty much debunked by the phenomenon of observation selection bias. So that's the second question down. Still no evidence provided. Let's see what you have for the third.
The third thing that you can ask an atheist is, what is consciousness?
Well, that's a pretty easy question to answer. Consciousness, in its simplest terms, is sentience and awareness of internal and external existence. But we can also look at the evidence and demonstrate that consciousness is an emergent property of a functioning brain. Once the brain ceases to function, the capacity for consciousness ceases.
Science still does not know what consciousness is.
Sure it does. I literally gave you the scientific definition of consciousness. Yes, consciousness is acknowledged to be a subjective first-person phenomenon, and science itself is an objective third-person endeavor. But there are still many pieces of evidence and novel testable predictions that we have collected over the centuries of studying consciousness that have allowed us to come to a pretty solid conclusion about what consciousness is. Until you have more evidence to add to the subject, anything you propose is pure speculation.
Meaning, if an atheist is telling you, oh, this is why you shouldn't believe, oh, this is why you shouldn't have faith, oh, this is why you shouldn't believe that there's a God.
The existence of the phenomena that we call consciousness is absolutely no reason to believe in a God.
Be like, do you even know what consciousness is?
Yes, we do. I literally gave you the definition.
Do you even know why you think the way you do? Do you even know why you feel the way you do?
Yes, to both questions. I think and feel the way I do due to myriad external influences. Influences that include my personal interpretations of stimuli, the influences of my parents, my peers, the society I live in, and my overall education. This, of course, is a neurophysiology question and goes to how the brain develops pathways in response to stimuli. And that process is unique to every human being, which is why consciousness is a phenomena that is subjective to each individual. The purpose of science is to find what we can determine to be the truth among all those subjective experiences, and novel testable predictions are what help us to do that.
And if you can't explain it, would you rather have faith in something where science 80% proves?
No, faith is deeply problematic. Faith can be misplaced without you knowing it. Faith can be manipulated without your knowledge. Faith is demonstrably feelings-oriented, which is how people can change denominations and even entire faith organizations. It is literally the worst tool that you can use in determining what is true.
Or would you rather just not believe at all and just be a pessimist?
Well, that doesn't follow at all. Just because a person doesn't believe in your sky fairy doesn't automatically make them a pessimist. And being an atheist doesn't lead to pessimism. In fact, studies show atheists are often more happier and content than theists. And that's because we don't have to constantly deal with the cognitive dissonance that results from trying to reconcile the faith with reality.
Or would you rather just not believe at all and just be an atheist?
Technically, if you don't believe in a God, you are an atheist. In fact, we're all pretty much atheists by default until we're suddenly confronted with God claims. And if the goal is to believe in more true things than false things, and overall be happier and more productive in our lives and in our societies, then yeah, be an atheist. It is, after all, the most intellectually honest position that one can take.
Even though the universe is fine-tuned.
It isn't. This has been debunked.
One thing goes wrong and everything's not the way it's supposed to be.
The claim that everything is supposed to be a certain way is just your incredulity talking. The universe is the way it is currently because of the fundamental forces. If these forces change, we would merely have a demonstrably different looking universe, and life itself would also look demonstrably different.
The Earth is in the Goldilocks zone.
But it won't be forever.
Everything is so fine-tuned. Physics is so fundamental that if you change one thing, everything collapses.
Incorrect. We can actually hypothesize an infinite number of presentations in which the variables of the four fundamental forces could be presented. Many of these would collapse in on themselves, but not all of them. And when you muck with the fundamentals, you change the very foundations of things like chemistry, which means in these alternate possible universes, life simply wouldn't look like it does in this universe.
So do you mean to tell me that everything just happened by chance? Everything just happened by accident? Everything just happened by luck?
While I disagree with your emotional terminology because of the unnecessary baggage that's attached to it, for the sake of argument, yes, that's what the evidence indicates. I'm sorry you don't like that fact, but unless you choose to arbitrarily deny reality, then you must reconcile this with your worldview.
Okay. So it's one of the things like I say, you just ask atheists these questions, and you just watch them give you the answer. It'd be like, what happens after you die? What happened before the Big Bang? What even is consciousness?
Now you're just repeating yourself. I answered your questions, and guess what? They didn't shake the foundations of anything. In reality, they just demonstrated your ignorance of various scientific fields.
And you can sit there and watch them squirm around because they're not going to be able to tell you the answer.
Yeah, this really didn't require much squirming on my part. In fact, not really any exertion at all. In fact, all of this was just stuff you would have learned had you not been indoctrinated to value your feelings over the facts of reality. Be safe, be excellent to each other. I'll see you next time.